Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Celia Sosa and today we're going to continue our quickly review about the hemostasia. As we see the first chapter, it was about the formation of the blood clot. Now we're going to focus on the coagulation cascade. Well, as we know, coagulation is a process, very dynamic process, that is going to imply the intervention of different mechanisms that are going to interrelate and work simultaneously. We also have to know that the coagulation cascade concept was described in 1960 by David Ratnoff and McFarlane, that they gave us the traditional way, that is two main pathways, the intrinsic and the extrinsic pathway, that are going to merge into the common pathway. And we also have that coagulation has to be in the equilibrium of two different forces, the thrombogenic ones and the antithrombogenic. We are going to give a quick review about the inhibitors that are produced naturally in our body. We can say, or we can refer to them as anticoagulants. We have the antithrombin. Antithrombin was previously known as antithrombin 3, and this is the main inhibitor of the thrombin. The antithrombin is going to inhibit the factor 9, 10A, 11A, and 12A, and its effect is going to be potentiated by the use of heparin. We also have the tissue plasminogen inhibitor. It is an inhibitor of the extrinsic pathway, and it's going to inhibit the tissue factor that binds to the 7A factor, and blocking this union, it's going to inhibit the tissue factor that binds to the 7A factor complex. Blocking this complex, we can block totally the extrinsic pathway. We also have the protein C pathway. This one is a very complex mechanism because it's going to inhibit the propagation phase of the coagulation cascade, and it is going to be activated by the thrombin. Here, the thrombin is going to bind to the protein C, activating the protein C. Now, the activation of this protein is going to inhibit the factor 5 and 8. Here we can have the action of the thrombomodulin and the endothelium protein C that are going to help in this process. Here we have also the participation of the protein S. The protein S, as we know, is produced by the endothelial cells and the hepatocytes, and we can find it in the plasma in two different forms. We can find it freely, and in this form is going to act as an anticoagulant, or we can find that the protein S can bind to the C4b protein of the complement, blocking the complement. This is going to cause an inactivation of the factor 5A and 8A, and an irreversible inhibition of the prothrombinase, causing the inhibition of the thrombin. Okay, we also have the protein C inhibitor. This protease inhibitor has been recently described as part of the coagulation system, and we know that the protein C inhibitor is going to inhibit the factor 10 in the presence of calcium. Okay, so knowing all that, we're going to start. Everything we see here is the coagulation cascade. It looks so complicated, many arrows, many enzymes everywhere, but it is because we are detailing every little process here, but we are going to make it much more easier. Okay, it is important to say that this model, the traditional model that has the intrinsic, the extrinsic, and the common pathway, is a model that only works in vitro. Okay, it's important we remember that. Well, the extrinsic pathway is another way of activation of the thrombin, and this way is going to be mediated by the factor 12, the prekallikrein, and the HMW kinogen. Okay, these three are going to act together to activate the factor 11, or the Hagemann factor. Once that the factor 11 is activated, it's going to activate the factor 9. That the factor 9 that is activated is going to act as a cofactor of the factor 8A. Now, the factor 8A and the factor 9A are going to act together to activate the 10 factor. Okay? The extrinsic pathway, as we know, it is regarded as the first step in the plasma-mediated hemostasis. Here we have that when there is an injury of the endothelium, the subendothelium is going to express the tissue factor. Okay, and when this tissue factor is expressed, it's going to call the factor 7A. When they bind together, they are going to activate the factor 10. giving us the factor 10 activator. Okay, now both the intrinsic and extrinsic pathway are going to end in the activation of the 10 factor, and here is where the common path starts. Okay, our 10 factor is going to be activated and working with its cofactor, the factor 5, to convert prothrombin into thrombin, and the thrombin is going to bind to the fibrinogen that there is in the platelets, and the calcium around are going to work together to make the fibrinogen to transform into fibrin. As we remember, we said in our last class that fibrin is the one that is going to give stability and strength to the blood clot. So here we know that where the fibrin is coming from. Okay, so fibrin and the factor 12 are the ones that are going to give the strength to the blood clot. Okay, as we said, this is all about the traditional way, and this is all basically, but as we know, this can only work in vitro. Now the interesting question is how does coagulation cascade, or how this model can act in vivo in a human being. So the current theories about the coagulation, it is the next one. Okay, the concept of coagulation, it is that it's a process that has three main phases: the initiation phase, the amplification phase, and the propagation phase. In the initiation phase, we know that it's going to start when the tissue factor binds to the 7A factor. This binding, this union, is going to activate the thrombin by activating the factor 9 and the factor 10. Okay? Then we pass to the amplification phase. Here, even if the thrombin that was generated in the initiation phase is not enough, it's going to activate the factor 5 and 8 that are going to accelerate the factor 2. And also, as the thrombin that is generated is not enough, we are going to continue with the positive feedbacks that are going to bind thrombin to the platelets. Well, and with this we are going to pass to the propagation phase. Now all the enzyme complex that are accumulated there are going to provide us a continuously supply of thrombin, and this thrombin, and it is in excess, it's going to ensure us the formation of the fibrin because it can bind freely to the fibrinogen. Well, as we see, it's basically the same process that the traditional way that has intrinsic, extrinsic, and the common pathway, just that here we don't care from where they come. Here it is because the action they have that we are divided in these three phases. Okay, so here we end our quickly review. I hope you guys have understand it and have it clear now, and any questions you have, you can let us know. So thank you very much, and see you next class.